Obviously, I'd love to say it's just our pond, but any water source, period, becomes a social hub specifically for the whitetail herd. We are the only one in the world, but in the outdoor industry that applies an actual black dirt topsoil that adheres to our fiberglass structures. So both our blinds and our ponds, we have an application that adheres to the substrate, so the fiberglass and resin, and then also allows the topsoil to adhere to it.
Welcome to the Habitat Podcast, the podcast for wildlife habitat management, hunting strategy, and land stewardship. And now, your host, Jared Van Hees.
Welcome to the Habitat Podcast.
All right, guys, we're back. Mr. Hutchie, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you this fine day? We got sun out today in northern Michigan.
Yeah, it's going to be...
How about southern Michigan? How's the weather?
Yeah, it's sunny. It's sunny, buddy.
Heck
it's overcast here in central Wisconsin.
Oh man.
So I'm jealous of your guys' sky view right now.
I haven't seen it in weeks, so I'm going to take it. I'm sorry. I'm not worried about you guys. I need it.
I get it. Yeah, it's this dragging end of the winter that we know spring is in the near future. So we're gripping at, positive days at this point.
Absolutely. I mean, we actually are having a winter this year, which is, we haven't had winters in a while. So to have a real winter is kind of new for all of us right now. So, but anyway, enough about the weather. Let's talk about this great guest we got on, Jared.
Yeah, we have Mr. Whan Meyer from Earth Ponds on today. Waylon, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to having this discussion and let my hair down a little bit.
Us as well.
Heck yeah. I love the name Waylon. I tried to get my wife to name our son Waylon, but she wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's unique. It's actually become more popular since the 90s or early 2000s. But yeah, I have only met a couple in my 40 years of life.
Oh man, yeah. At least you didn't get shafted with like a name like Jared, who's now like this subway pedophile guy in prison.
Right. Well, there's other positive influencers that redeem the name though. So
yeah. What about Jared? Identify with Jared Scheffler. That's much better. Much better.
Yeah. There you go. There's still a lot of Jareds that are not in prison, right? So perfect.
That's right.
Well, Waylon, we'd like to kick this off. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's hear about who you are, where you're from. You said Wisconsin, whereabouts, and kind of how you got into the world you're in now.
Definitely. Well, I guess I'll start with I'm born and raised in Wisconsin, from the western to northwestern part of the state. I was an avid outdoorsman from a very young age. My father was, a big hunter and fisherman himself. And so I was introduced early and, it truly just grew into more of a passion, which hence here we are now. I'm working in the industry. But aside from that, I do have a family, 2 children, and I live in northwestern Wisconsin currently, up by Rice Lake. So, I'm, at the lower start of, I guess you'd call the Northwoods, big, beautiful country and a lack of ag. It's truly big timber when you start going there and further north. So my style hunting is different than you'd see in central or southern Wisconsin with a lot of agricultural land. But, my work career actually started in the dealership realm, the dealership world. And so my family had some dealerships, a Ford dealership, a power sports marine dealership, international truck dealership. And, so at a young age, I grew up obviously working in the shop, many different roles. And from there, I quickly learned that retail, for lack of a better term, was not my passion, nor what I wanted to be my future. And, I also got an inside look in that segment of my life at the manufacturing level, obviously dealing with a lot of them and ordering their products and working with the representatives. And So by 2019, we had sold our dealerships. Our family had sold our dealerships, and that was my time to start venturing off and figure out the path, which is what led me to manufacturing. Besides that, we can talk more about earth blinds, earth ponds, but any questions on that?
God, I see those motors turning.
Yeah. So with how did you get into the earth blind and earth pond? What's the birth of that company? What's your position there? I saw you guys at ATA show a few times. Kind of how did that come about?
Yeah. Well, after we sold the dealerships, a friend of mine started a pontoon manufacturing company and asked me to come and help him get it off the ground. It's actually, that factory is only about 40 miles from where our facility is. And so while I was there for a 2-year period to get the company off the ground, processes, personnel in place, suppliers, etc., our current owner of Earth Blind, Scott Mays, we do composite fiberglass parts, reached out to us inquiring if we had the need to have any fiberglass parts made for the pontoons. And so that's when him and I started a discussion, not only about them making parts for us, or Earth Blinds making parts for the pontoon company, but also just getting to know him and realizing some of the products that he does for the hunting industry that I truly love. And we went out to lunch one day, and the pontoon company was in a good position at this point, and Scott asked if I'd come on board and help him run the company. And so it turned out to be a fantastic lunch, and I decided to move on over, ended my venture with the pontoon company, and started in Earth Blinds 3 years ago. I am our operations manager, and Scott and I are working on bigger aspirations and goals over and above that here in the near future.
I'm sure.
Wonderful.
I'm sure. So do you also hunt in Wisconsin? Probably a stupid question, but like, where do you hunt? What type of property are you on? Give us a little bit of that background too.
Yeah. So I hunt in Wisconsin. Yes. In northwestern Wisconsin, primarily around the Rice Lake to Hayward area, to give you a geographic location. So big woods. We have a property that's outside of Rice Lake that we do have some ag on. But I truly have fallen in love with chasing deer in big country, chunks of public land, and getting several miles back, working for them, trying to target that older class deer that people never see because they aren't willing to put in the work. And so the last several years, 5 years to be exact, this season will be 6, I've spent less time on our property and more time up in the big woods running trail cameras and running, over 100 miles on the ground scouting, trying to get on some of these big deer that, like I said, that no one knows they're there, but they are.
Wow. And how's the success been up there? I'm sure it's not easy. We have Northwoods here in Michigan. I'm familiar with some of the ground you're talking about. We did a land plan up in northern Wisconsin last year, Andy and I, and it's gorgeous up there, man. But I mean, how's the hunting?
Well, we have a phenomenal deer herd in the area that I'm hunting. We do have a predator problem as well. To not go down that quite yet. I've found ways to get around that. Specifically the packs of wolves are pretty large up in northern Wisconsin, but they also will move their range pretty frequently. So they might run a 20 to 50 mile territory for a couple weeks, and then they might move another 20 to 50 miles away. And so it's very seldom that I have any deer that I'm after get completely pushed out. I forgot your question.
No, just like, is the hunting, does it remain pretty challenging getting on a big deer up there?
It does. Yeah. They have, without ag, a lot of these mature deer, they travel quite a ways to get the substance that they're looking for. A couple of the deer that I've shot, I would only get trail cam pictures of them once every 5 to 7, 8 days. They were, it was on a large range that they were just making a loop, and I happened to figure out, the wind direction, the moon phase, all of that went into play with them coming through this specific area that I was targeting, and was able to, fortunate to capitalize. But in the last 5 years that I've hunted it, I've killed 3 mature deer. The last 2 seasons I have struck out. 2 years ago, I missed. I shot at a Dandy 10 that I for sure was 5. It could have been older. Everything was perfect. And, obviously the buck fever got the best of me, and I shot right underneath them. And that was the history of that. And last year, I just wasn't able to spend enough time out in the woods. I run several cameras and I do a ton of scouting when I can. But raising a family and my children in sports and running the business. Unfortunately, last year, I think I only made it out 6 or 7 total times in our entire Wisconsin hunting season. So I'm hoping this year that can change.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. And are the bucks up there, the ones that you did harvest and maybe the one you missed, are they all big bodied chocolate rack? Like what are they dressed at? And I just imagine that dark chocolate rack,
Yeah. So, the coloration of the rack truly depends on, the ground they're on and what they're rubbing. So yes, some of them and some that I've harvested have dark racks. Actually quite a few, or I'd say the majority have a lot lighter racks. The mature deer up in northern Wisconsin, if you can find, any type of pine or spruce small section in the big timber, 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up finding a mature deer using that area as for rubs. And, if they are hitting that type of tree, typically they're going to be a lighter rack.
Okay.
And so, more of the deer that I've harvested up there have had lighter racks than opposite.
Okay. Gotcha. Let's transition back to the ponds and your involvement there. Say you guys go to a trade show like ATA. That's where I first saw you. What's your elevator pitch on the earth ponds and why somebody would be interested in something like this?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I should say fortunately right now, because I know others are currently trying to work on a competitive product. But, fortunately, we are the original pond for the actual hunting or outdoor industry. Aside from that, with I should say our ponds are made up of composite materials, so fiberglass and resin. It's as strong as you can get. Obviously, much stronger than a plastic option, which those are the only other options that are out there or coming out right now. We also back by a lifetime warranty. Our processes and the materials that we use in the makeup of the pond, we guarantee it for life. We don't expect any issues, but if we do, then we take care of it. The competitive product being plastic. All plastic, has UV issues, can crack, warp, shrink over time. There's a lack of warranty on any plastic products, as you guys know. Some might be a year, some might be 5 years, but there's not any data yet in our industry, the outdoor industry, to truly go against, a plastic pond compared to ours. With the fiberglass material we have in the production process, we have a specific thickness and amount of material that we apply on our ponds, from the bottom to the side rails to our curved lip or flange. There's a targeted thickness to ensure that there's no issues, warping, anything like that. Aside from just the composite makeup and the lifetime warranty, our pond, the sidewalls were designed so that any type of wildlife is able to get in and out. You look at, I'll just throw, landscaping ponds out there, or any other type of pond, the new Grizzly Cooler, which was converted to a pond. They're all straight walls. And, you have rodents, you'll have a lot of small mammals, especially if that water level drops, that will not get out. They will, in return, die inside your pond, therefore contaminating it, and your local herd will not touch that source until it's cleaned out. So that was one of the big features that we wanted to ensure with the earth pond, was that the slopes were designed, at a degree angle that would allow all mammals or wildlife to be able to get out. Outside of the design, our dirt finish. So we are the only one in the world, but in the outdoor industry, that applies an actual black dirt topsoil that adheres to our fiberglass structures. So both our blinds and our ponds, we have a process that we have an application that adheres to the substrate, so the fiberglass and resin, and then also allows the topsoil to adhere to. It also air cures. So a lot of the other the products, out in the industry that are made for the composite or plastic industries, a lot of them require some type of backing in order for it to cure. This product that we use was designed specifically so that we could spray it on, apply our dirt, and it'll 100% cure out with no fumes, no residual issues. And so that's a pretty cool gig that, and hence the name Earth. That's where it derives from. But that's a little longer pitch, but those are the key focal points that truly we talk about with both consumers and dealers.
Hey guys, Al here, Revitalize Seed. I want to talk to you about what's new for 2026. 2026, we have changed so much. Our soil tests, you can buy them from us. You immediately get a form that you can download and print, and then it will walk you through how to sample. That way you don't have to wait for other sample bags or anything like that. All you'll need is a Ziploc bag and access to a printer for your sample sheet. We added a rewards program, so take advantage of that, guys. Make sure you sign up for your rewards program, just like an airline program or something like that, where you get rewards. You can then use those later. So obviously we want to give thanks to those who are loyal to us. Another thing that we added was a new Alfalfa Edge product, which is an alfalfa-based product. We're doing a lot of that for frost seeding. We have extended our bundle packaging to lawn care, garden, granular fertility, foliar fertility. We do have our entire foliar stack, granular stack, etc. Again, all natural organic products. If you guys like this stuff, check us out at vitalizeseed.com and let us help you get the most out of your food plots, gardens, and lawn care.
Okay. So with that dirt finish, if you will, correct me if I'm wrong, could a deer or animal step on that, and they won't like slip and fall or whatever? Not that deer are concerned about slipping and falling, I guess, but I'm sure at some point that adds an advantage to be able to have a little bit of something to step into when you're drinking, right?
Yeah, yep, for sure. So it does apply yes, it provides traction, excuse me. With deer, with any hoofed animal, even with that traction, if there's moisture or water on the sides, they're going to slide. And hence our ponds are designed to only be 10 to 13 inches deep. We've got a lot of footage and trail cam photos of, seeing deer slip down in, but they're only slipping a couple inches. And therefore it doesn't fully alarm them and make them book out of the area. But smaller mammals, for sure as well. It provides traction, mice, coon, you name it, possum, turkey, they all use the ponds.
Cool.
Okay. So it looks like you got several different models here. Can we kind of break down through those? And I see one is a mineral pond. I'm kind of curious about the mineral pond, because not that we can use it here in Michigan, but
yeah, same here in parts of Wisconsin.
Okay.
So we'll just start with the mineral. A majority of the outdoor industry, they're used to just dumping their mineral on a site, on the ground, on a stump. We all know deer will eat the dirt. They will eat the bark, wherever that mineral has absorbed. But the nice thing with the mineral pond is it contains it into a centralized location that's not creating mud. And as we know, which we'll get into this, in regards to disease transfer, diseases like EHD, that midge thrives on mud. And that's where they're able to breed, populate, and then infect our herds. And so to be able to provide a centralized source or, area where you can dump up to 50 pounds of mineral and the herd can come and hit it, and move on, not create mud, not have big holes in the earth. So that was the thought process behind designing just a mineral station. We offer it with and without a drain. So some states, do not require any topsoil contamination. And so the states that don't allow you to just dump on the ground, but would allow you to put it in a station like this, are required to have at least a 12-inch drain so that if any water gets in, it can go down the drain and below the subsoil surface and not contaminate the topsoil surface. So, and then in states that don't require that, you can get it without a drain. And, as rainfall collects, you've got a mineralized mixture of both granulated and water.
I like it.
Yeah. From there is our medium pond. So it's a 50-gallon capacity. Dimensions are basically 4x4. I'll just use round numbers, but 47 by 47 inches. That was one of the starting ponds designed so that we could ship it on a 4x4 pallet, keep it easy, lightweight. And that was kind of the start of designing not only the slope sides, but from there, working into larger platforms that allow all of these ponds to be contained or shipped within each other. And so we've got the medium, which is 50-gallon capacity. And from there, we move to our large, which is 80-gallon capacity. Again, round numbers, it's 4x6. Those are both 10 inches deep. And, if none of us fill these water sources where they're overflowing, or you're never going to have it perfectly level on the ground, right? There's always going to be some type of slope, but you could fit a little bit more in these if you were able to make everything perfect. But we use round numbers, in regards to these capacities.
I like round numbers. Round numbers work well with me, so you're good. Well, I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
How come only 10 inches deep and not let's just say the traditional guy, I'm guilty of it, has a 110-gallon stock tank. They buried it in the ground and they've got a log sticking out of it. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so the depth with the certain degree slopes that we did was so that animals could get in and out safely.
Okay.
So the deeper we go, either the further we have to, create a decline out, which makes more surface area you're having to dig on the earth, requiring more equipment instead of just being able to hand dig with a shovel some of our smaller ponds. And so, yes, the design and the depth was so that mammals could get in and out easier. The deeper we go, the bigger we get, the more work you have installing, etc.
Okay. How about water retention in those ponds? How does that for like evaporation and all that?
Yeah, so water will not absorb, I guess, first and foremost through the fiberglass or resin. So there's no way to actually get through that surface unless somehow something punctured a hole in it. In regards to evaporation, that truly depends on where it's installed. So if you're out on the edge of a field or an open area where there's no overhead cover, you're out and they're hot, warm, humid days, you're obviously going to be you're going to see a lot more water evaporation than you would if you had a pond tucked into the woods underneath some cover, right? But there's not an exact number that we've figured out yet in regards to that. We are working on it this year for all 5 of our pond sizes, whether it's undercover or in the open, what you can expect for evaporation rate. And I'm looking at just a weekly basis. Maybe I'll be able to dial it in by the day, but the problem is obviously sun cover, things like that. There are so many variables where if I'm able to provide a weekly basis of this size pond in these 2 environments will evaporate X amount. So that is information we will release this year.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear that. Well, let's keep going on that, man. You got the XL and the Mega left. I'm excited to hear about these.
Yeah. So the large, if we go back 3 years ago, our large 80-gallon was our bread and butter. It was still easily shippable. It could fit in a pickup bed. A guy or gal could dig it in 20, 30 minutes. if you're not in rock terrain, of course, but didn't require equipment. And, so from there, we're like, okay, let's create a larger capacity pond. There was a demand for it. There were people that were asking for something larger, big chunks of land, or, you've got 5, 10, plus acre food plots. If you're doing that large of food plot, typically you have a larger herd that you're supplying, and these smaller ponds just, would be drank out within a week or less. And so from there, we actually developed our mega, our 250 gallon. So we went from the 80 to then offering the 250 because of that calling. And it blew up. It absolutely blew up. The people, just focused in the Midwest, upper Midwest, loved it strictly because they were able to get it easier from us. They'd run up and pick up a trailer, or we would deliver it to our dealers. But what we found is shipping that pond at the pond itself is 92 by 92 inches. And with LTL, there's only a specific truck that'll carry it, which is a swing door at 96-inch interior width. You have to have your pallet sticking outside the dimensions of your product. So that meant it was a 94-inch pallet. And what we learned was freight was becoming a disaster. Even though this was the product that people were demanding, it was very difficult to get it to certain areas at a reasonable price. And so that's when the XL, our 120 gallon, was then developed. It's a 4x8 for round numbers. And basically what we wanted to do was still offer something that, provided more capacity than our large, which was the top seller, still make it, easily maneuverable in the woods where you could carry it in. It's 50 pounds. One person could carry it in deep into the woods if you needed, and dig it in. Or, it would serve a good purpose along a food plot, et cetera. We've also had people, install 2 of those. So we ship 2 of those, and that suffices as a 250 roughly capacity to be able to provide the herd the same amount of capacity, but not having to handle the freight issues. And so that was the development of our products, and how we came to those different sizes.
Awesome.
I like that. Not a lot of people think about the scalability of the business and being able to ship. Shipping is such a pain in the butt and a large cost, right? So for you guys to be able to think about that stuff and come up with an option to fit on the LTL, fit in people's pickup trucks, I like that. Well done.
Yeah. That's where the XL on down are all made to fit within the wheel wells of a pickup bed. And so, that was all a big part of everything, including, like you touched on, the freight costs. I mean, we have to be able to offer these products to our dealers at a reasonable price freight wise, or in return, they're going to have a more difficult time cost averaging that out and being able to sell it to the public. And so, that was, and fortunately, we do have another solution coming out that I will touch on, but not go in depth on. So, when we came out with the 250 gallon mega, it wasn't enough, right? People loved it. It became our top seller. The XL came in, and that's our second best seller. But there's a need for even larger, right? And there is nothing out there that offers, 500 plus gallon capacities that don't have 2, 3, 4 foot sidewalls, stock tanks, things like that most wildlife can't even drink out of unless they're cattle or elk, right? And so we have developed it. Molds are in place. We have testing currently going on of something that will ship easier, but will assemble to whatever size you want it. There's going to be a limitation I'm going to put on the overall length, because when you get into something that's just throwing a number out there that's 20 feet long, right? You're now past a point where 2, 3, 4 people can just grab it and carry it and put it into place. So it's now going to require equipment. Well, I don't want someone to go in with a skid steer tractor, and pick up the center as an example, and we have issues, collapses, structural failures, things like that. So, so that's the one thing that we're currently trying to dial in is based on total volume or capacity that we're going to allow with this new product, and total length in return to ensure that we can still back it for life.
Okay. That's
I'm thinking jigsaw puzzle pond.
Yeah, it's easier than that, but potentially.
I like it.
I'm thinking I'm going to make one like 30 by 40, and there we go. There's our pool. There you go, kids.
With the dirt finish, I don't think they'd be happy with that.
They'll be fine. Toughen them up, right?
You haven't seen Andy's kids. They'll be all right.
Yeah, they're a little feral. So with these ponds, are you, in your dealer network, are you direct to consumer at all, or is it all out of your dealer network?
We are all through our dealer network. Now,
okay.
There are situations that occur a handful of times in the year that we just don't have a dealer or any representation in certain areas or states, and not the Midwest, specifically if we go East or West Coast as an example. That has been the limited circumstances where we have supplied, a direct to consumer option because there's no option for them available. This year, the goal is to have at least land managers as dealers represented in a majority of the United States. And I am focusing on heavy marketing campaigns starting in March to drive that type of traffic, specifically targeting dealers. And the reason I said land managers is what we've found is, our current dealers, brick and mortar stores are fantastic, right? They typically have an area that products are displayed. You have an easier way of being able to touch and feel the product, but they also have 100 other products. And what we found is our land manager clients or dealers, not only are they selling them, but they're the people that are also installing them. They're the ones that are working on the consumer's property and the future of that property, and not only sell it and install it, but believe in the product because they've used it and they've seen the benefits. And so that's where the success has truly grown in the last 2 years is, our dealers that are doing all of that, they're consulting, they're installing, has truly blown up. And so that is the primary focus. The next couple of years for sure, but this year specifically, we're trying to go after that certain person, that is not only able to sell them, but install them, et cetera. And that's how we're targeting dealers right now.
Okay. Do you have like an MSRP idea on all these or?
Yeah, I don't have them in front of me, but yeah, we'll shoot off the cuff here. But so our mineral pond is $249. Our medium pond 50 gallon is $299. Our large 80 gallon is $439. Our extra large 120 gallon is $599. And our mega 250 is $899.
This episode is brought to you by Everland Outdoors. Formerly known as Aerial Wildlife Solutions, these guys make the best maps of your property with their drones. No satellite imagery, no blurry pictures, HD photography of your property. You can see every blind, every stand. I even see bedded deer on my 40 acres. Give Lee and Adam a call. West Michigan guys, startup company, making great maps, the best I've seen in the industry. Check them out at Everland Outdoors.
Thank you very much. Yeah, right off that was pretty good though. You had that right down in your brain there for off the cuff.
I made that initial statement and my brain was turning a lot of gears to make sure I had them spot on, but we're good.
Gotcha. Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool product. I like the drainage part on that mineral thing, on that mineral pond. So for those states that you can't or however it works, but absolutely awesome. Jared, what you got?
All I know is I've seen guys do the kiddie pool route and stuff. I've done the Tractor Supply tubs or whatever they were back on my old property. I don't like looking at that baby blue or neon pink color while I'm sitting in the tree. I don't 100%. Like neon orange ratchet straps on tree stand. I'm like, I don't know, I'm weird like that. Like I want things to look natural, and that's why this stuck out to me when I first saw it. I think they're sweet. Now I want to get to a conversation. Where are guys putting these? You know, I'm a land manager consultant. I know where I ask guys to put water holes. Where do you guys suggest people to put water holes?
That truly depends on your habitat, and each individual property. I guess the two main areas, next to a food source, whatever that looks like on that specific property. It might only be an oak ridge, so that's where it belongs then. But high traffic areas that you are guaranteed you're going to have movement at two different parts of the day that are not only focusing on food, but in return, if the food is there, they will hit that water guaranteed. And so aside from that, and this is where our smaller ponds typically will come to play, is tucked into those more secluded areas, your sanctuary areas that you are only looking for a specific or a target deer to have that extra 3, 10, 30 seconds to give you an opportunity. And if you provide that water source in an area that they feel 100% comfortable and safe in, they will stop at it. And in return, if you position it correctly, you'll get your shot opportunity. And so, food and, sanctuary type applications where somebody's trying to have a specific deer hit a specific area at the right time.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
I think the it has to be, a low pressure area for sure, right? And I would also add that I think these are some of the best spots to put trail cameras for any sort of wildlife. I mean, what what animal doesn't drink water, right? It's like the stuff that I used to get on my ponds was truly awesome. Cool video, cool pictures of everything that's there,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it obviously I'd love to say it's just our pond, but any water source, period, becomes a social hub specifically for the whitetail herd. Your does congregate around it. And so touching on your trail camera or scouting applications, they're fantastic. They work so well with our ponds. You're going to figure out what herd you have, what animals or wildlife you have in that area, because they all will generate traction on that area or on that pond source.
Do you have a minimum amount of ponds you'd recommend per 10 acres, 40 acres, 100 acres? There's probably been some science done by people a lot smarter than me, like at MSU Deer Lab on how often or how sorry, I'm looking for
How much
the
water
occurrence of water, how much water.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what can you advise on that?
Well, again, it touches on, every property is different because your deer herd is different. If you only have, 8, 10, 12 deer in a square, putting 4 ponds on a property is completely pointless because you're just waiting for that small herd to come through. And if you have the only water source in that area, they're going to hit it regardless. But, if you have a large herd population, I've got people that have multiple. I'm saying 8, 10, 12 ponds, on a single property that might be 200 acres, might be 400 or 500 acres. But they're strategically placed not only to help the herd because the size is there, the herd size is there, but also they're focused on stand locations. So certain deer, certain bucks are only comfortable going to certain areas. So even though you think you need to have that pond next to this food source on this area because it makes it perfect for your, you getting in and out of the stand, et cetera, it might not be perfect for that buck. And so that's where multiple ponds on a property, could come into play. It's an answer that I don't know how many you could or can't put on a property. I just know it becomes redundant if you have a small herd or a small piece of ground. But if you have a large herd and a large piece of ground, like I said, there are people that have many, many ponds on these chunks of ground. And I've heard, positive reviews in that regard that, deer will use all of them or certain deer will only use certain ones, but they have that opportunity or the ability to pick and choose.
Yep. I would totally agree. Our land plan clients will know because they've heard me say it on our plans and whatnot that I like to accessorize a lot of the stand locations with everything. A water hole is one of them. So, and like you said, not every big buck's gonna walk out in the middle of a food plot and drink from that water hole. But if you have one tucked up against some brush, maybe transition area in between the food and the bedding, you can get water right after they stand up. Yeah, that sort of stuff is where the strategery comes in. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you allowed to put these on public land when you go up to Northwoods in Wisconsin? Is that like your little trick in the back pocket?
No, you're not. No, I mean,
I didn't know.
with any public ground in Wisconsin, you're not supposed to leave anything in the woods for a 24-hour period. If you do leave a stand overnight, as an example, you have to have your name, your DNR number, your phone number, all advertised right on whatever you're leaving in the woods. But no, to answer your question, these ponds, you'd have to carry them in and out. And I don't know how you'd carry it in, then retrieve water, then dump it. So it is not something that you would use on public ground.
So what you're
If
saying
I did,
is
I'd just put Andy's phone number on it.
there you go.
Right.
Figured maybe you were coming out with a backpack version that you could strap to your Latitude pack there and all in.
There might be something in the works, but then you still have to be able to fill it. So if
I'm going to make sure to do that part. So I'll carry the pond in, he can carry the water.
That's fair. Yeah. You guys both sit on a one-man ladder stand together.
There we go. With a crossbow.
2 saddles, 1 tree. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Well, what are we missing on the ponds that we haven't covered so far? I'm trying to think of anything I might have missed on the pond side of things.
Well, ultimately it comes down to product awareness. Our products have been out for a few years now, but we've been a small, young, up and coming company that hasn't been able to focus a ton of funds on nationwide marketing or campaigns. Right. So, that's the one big thing that people just don't know the benefit of our pond. They might know the benefit of having water on their ground, but not what sets us apart from, a farm and fleet tank or a water trough from Tractor Supply, you name it. So that's just the one thing that I want to touch on is, not only is the design of our pond allowed for all wildlife to be able to get in and out of it with the dirt finish that allows extra traction. The materials that make it up provide a lifetime warranty. These are designed for decades of structural strength and integrity, as opposed to any competitor out there. Aside from that, this is a product that, you install once, unless you plan on trying to move it to a different area. It's something that you literally install and forget about. You maintain the water level, depending on the capacity and the area, like we touched on earlier. If it's, under cover or exposed, you having to maintain that water level varies. And again, on that point, if you're tucking these ponds into a sanctuary area that you are not wanting to intrude until, a specific time of the year or a certain day, make sure you're putting the right size pond in there. If it's not easily accessible or you're not wanting to intrude on it, go larger. Because if you go small and that local herd ends up wiping it out before you're wanting to actually target a certain time, well, the buck's not going to go back to that water source if it's empty. They're going to move on and find something else. And so, but it's truly brand awareness. Our products are 100% UV resistant. They don't shrink, they don't crack, they don't warp. That's the stuff that we need to try and get out there. And I think, our outdoors men and women are truly going to see the benefit, as long as they are aware of what this offering is.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I appreciate that. And I did just think of one more question. Say you have the 10-inch deep pond. How deep are you burying these? Are you leaving the lip above the ground level? Are you putting it below so you get drainage from water? Like where is that direction?
So it's very crucial that, if you're digging it in, which we recommend, and I'll touch on that, but our top curved lip, I don't know if you can see this up here, but this pond it's curved. And so when you dig a hole to install this, we want to make sure that curved lip is on top of your subsoil, your soil. And the reason is all your water then is contained within, and it's not going up and over. Once you have water that goes up and over, you're creating that mud edge. And in return, that's where you potentially have disease transfer between your herd. And so when these are installed correctly, that lip is on top of the earth. The rest is all dug in. And you're not only creating a backing to make it even stronger with that soil and dirt up against it, a lack of flex if an animal steps in it, like a 400-pound black bear, which they're going to do it. They're going to lay in it. They're going to bathe in it. They're going to be a pain in the butt. The proof is out there, but, so it's crucial that, it is dug above ground, or at least the lip is above ground for that exact reason. None of us want disease transfer, and specifically EHD, which you're seeing running rampant in many areas of our country right now. And all of that comes from, partially, habitat management, native things, native grasses, native wildlife, dragonflies, you name it. The ecosystem has starting to fall apart. And then you have a mud factor that the midge is able to thrive in. So there's a big picture to that disease aspect, which, again, truly derives from the actual habitat itself. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It does. I was just thinking if like my northern piece, I have like a natural spring on there, so I could be able to maybe get it in down there, have it fill up, but then I might throw other stuff into the pond. Is there a maintenance factor to the water itself? Are you shoveling out dirt? Are you cleaning out water every 6 months? What's the directive there?
Yeah. So to your first point, which you did ask, and I neglected to touch on, we do have a lot of people that are installing these. So there is some type of runoff, some water runoff. So it might be a piece of low ground and something's coming from high ground. Yes, that obviously helps with, maintaining your water level where you're not having to touch it. You do also run that risk then of having a mud area. Some people, if there is a spring involved, will run, PVC conduit. They've improvised. And if the ground is conducive of this, they might even dig that in 2, 3, 4 inches so that it's below the surface. In cold freezing temperatures, you're maintaining that water level even into December, January, maybe even February in certain areas. And so yes, some people are going in and filling it depending on the size once a week or once a month or once every 2 months. Other people are trying to focus on how it can naturally take care of its own level. Aside from that, what was your other question? I'm sorry.
Just like if it doesn't fill up on its own, do you have to change the water out ever, dump it out and start over?
You do not. So deer prefer a stagnant, non-flowing water source over a flowing water source like a creek or a river. So, a pond, a lake, they will take that over a stream that's literally right next to a pond. They will go to the pond 10 out of 10 times. And so you do not have to worry about changing the water out or treating it for that matter. You're going to have debris and natural foliage and whatnot fall into it. The only maintenance aspect to it is, in most people, they'll just grab a leaf rake. So if they go out there and it's full of leaves, trees, or branches, you go out there with a leaf rake, just skim across it, pull it out, and walk away. That is the only maintenance that, and if we all know deer are resilient, they will survive through almost any type of situation, right? And so if they're thirsty enough, they're still going to drink through a pond that's completely packed of leaves. But as a whole, if you have the ability to maintain in that regard of making sure that debris stays out, it's just a bigger benefit to the herd.
Sounds pretty simple to me.
It's very easy, man.
I like it.
This podcast is brought to you by Latitude Outdoors. Guys, Latitude Outdoors is one of the top saddle hunting manufacturing companies in the world, here headquartered in Michigan. Guys, I've worked with Kevin, Alex, the guys over there at Latitude. I've been using their products for over 3 seasons here at Habitat Podcast. The first deer I shot was that first big buck on the 15 acres out of my Method 2 saddle. That buck, I shot him out of the saddle using the climbing sticks, the platform, everything to get up, and that saddle is just very versatile when selecting a tree. That's the first time I hunted that tree on the 15 acres. I climbed up that day and was able to make the shot and a follow-up shot on that buck in that saddle. Guys, the saddle is so easy to use. You literally strap it on like a seat belt, like a belt. It's all ropes. There's no metal components. There's no tinging and banging and clunking. I wrap it around, I step into it, I cinch it down, and I'm on my way out. You know, I also use their carbon Speed Series climbing sticks. I got those brand new this year. I've been using those all over bow hunting and gun hunting, from public land to private. Very lightweight, easy to carry, stackable sticks. I ended up putting stealth strips on mine and using daisy chains. They compact very well, hang out of the bottom of my pack. And when I'm wearing the Method 2 saddle, I can easily pick any tree in the woods and hunt. Guys, if you're looking for a way to outfit your property without spending $200 per stand, like I'm gonna do on the new 40, I'm gonna prep a bunch of saddle trees and keep the deer guessing on where I'm sitting. They will not know my true stand location because I will not have one. Guys, saddles are very versatile. I urge you to check them out. Latitude Outdoors. Again, I've been using them for years and they are great products. Latitude Outdoors, thank you for supporting the Habitat Podcast.
And you do offer a couple blinds on your website. We don't need to go a ton of detail on that. People are very specific about their blinds, but I would like to hear what makes your blinds special. They do look special for sure. Pretty interesting looking. So I just want to hear like a couple advantages of the Earth Blind over, you know, the whatever.
Anything else out there, the 112 other brands.
Yeah, there's so many.
Well, you know, so the company actually started with a blind.
Okay.
So, you know, there was a gentleman that had developed the original, what was called the Earth Blind, but it was not, this was not knowledge to anybody. It wasn't manufactured or anything. It was a design. There was one that was hand built in a garage and had the patented finish of our dirt on it. Okay. And so we ended up connecting with this gentleman and purchasing that blind design as well as that patent from him for the dirt finish and blind design, all encompassed into that. Okay. So that's where the company, was developed, was from an actual, a one-man guy who built the blind, patented the dirt finish and the design. And we ended up acquiring it and hence the name. So, you know, that was what we thought was the future of the company, right? At that point, so this was 8 years ago. There was a lot of blind manufacturers out there, but there was still room for, you know, something unique, right? And so you've got your Banks, you've got your Redneck, Hawk, 360, you name it, Titan. There's a lot of fantastic blinds out there. And honestly, to each their own. They're all good. It doesn't truly matter. As long as it keeps you enclosed, regulates your scent, there's a benefit to it. But, so it started with the blind itself. That initial design was actually basically two pieces, a shell that would bolt together. So it was very easy to assemble. However, it was extremely heavy. It was the production process was a ton of materials and labor that went into it. And in return, it was very heavy. So it was difficult for consumers to deal with, to be able to, they'd have to have multiple people out on the land, to get everything stood up and bolted together. And then if you're trying to get it up on a platform, there's a whole nother challenge if you don't have equipment specifically. And so from there, we're like, okay, well, we need to design something that's more modular, something that's lighter weight, that has multiple pieces, say 4 or 6 pieces that, one, speeds up the production process, 2, makes it lightweight. So somebody's carrying only a 30 to 60 pound panel in at a time instead of a 1,000-pound setup. And so that's when we developed our Gen 3. And so the Gen 1 is what we acquired with the patent. The Gen 2 we won't talk about because it was a failure. So then the Gen 3 is what we released. And so the Gen 3 is a round blind. There's 4 wall panels that, make the circle. There's a solid roof and a solid floor. So it's 6 total panels. The entire blind weighs 320 to 350 pounds assembled. Each panel is 30 to 60 pounds. So it was much easier for the consumer or dealers for that matter to handle, to manage, to assemble, et cetera. And from there, we're like, well, there's nothing quite in the industry that they're either square or they're round. We just developed a round one just like everybody else has. What can we do different? So we started looking at different ideas and designs, and we're like, well, the design of like a tree branch or a mushroom, all of that looks more natural than a box or a circle. And so we then started working on the development and the design of our Gen 4. It's a really unique blind. It gives the best visibility out of any hunting blind in the industry. Pretty much every blind now has 360-degree view, right? Our Gen 3 does too, with 7 windows all the way around it. But our Gen 4 was designed where literally the entire walls are all windows with the design. And, we adhere a 50-50 transparent camo decal to our windows. And so you can see out, but you can't see in. And so when you have a blind that has that many windows all the way around it, it was crucial that we had to figure out how to hide that hunter properly. And that's where we ended up. We're not the only one, but ended up moving forward with a decal that we could apply to make sure that the hunter still stays, unknown that they're in the blind. So the Gen 4 was released. That has, unlike the Gen 3, where it's a solid flat floor, the Gen 4 actually comes on a skid. So it's we've got 4 D rings that are riveted on. You can hook a ATV side-by-side tractor up to it with a chain or a strap, and you can drag it across your terrain to the location where you're going to install it. The skids on each end have a 45-degree slope. That way it eliminates from tipping. So as long as you're not going $180 across your property and you're mindful of that, even if you hit uneven ground, the blind, hopefully, it was designed for this, but it still could happen, won't flip over on you or tip. So that was the other feature that we wanted to encompass in the Gen 4 was, one, the design, something that there's nothing out there like this. Looks like a tree, almost like a mushroom head, the visibility, and then also the skid base to be able to pull tines right under and lift up or drag out on the ground.
I could see the Gen 4 being a multi-use blind where during the summer I pull it in the backyard and my daughter can use it as a playhouse, and then in the fall gets drug right back out for a hunting blind. It is probably the coolest looking blind I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is unique. Very unique.
It is cool. Way, way, way cool. But yeah, bravo. I think that you did nail it on the head when you said there is nothing else like that I have seen. There is nothing else like that. I'm assuming you're going to be in the next Lord of the Rings with it. It is so cool.
I love that.
Yeah. It's when you look at a majority of the blinds out there, they all are straight walls, right? And so your true interior dimensions are very similar across all the brands and models. With the Gen 4, it's tapered outwards like that mushroom head. And so, it was designed to be able to create and allow for a lot more room inside of it. If you're drawn on something or you have to maneuver and relocate to another window, instead of having to step back, you're able to literally, because the walls go out, you're able to just transition to another section of the blind very cleanly and smoothly. And so that was also part of the design, where our Gen 3 is 81-inch interior dimensions, plenty of room for 3-4 people if you must, but they're straight walls. So depending on that shot angle, you might be up against that wall and still might have to step back or reposition. And so that was another feature of the Gen 4 that went into the design process.
Man, you're really hurting my checkbook right here. I can tell you that much. Because now my wife's going to wonder why I've got a big bill on there for a Gen 4 blind. I think it's cool. It's way cool.
Yeah, our the focus on our company and our products right now is 100% our ponds, because it's unique. And now is the time to capitalize before anybody else jumps in this segment, which, again, there are people in it now or starting or developing and working. And so, we love our blinds. We're going to offer them. the 100% focus moving forward for the next 12 to 24 months is driving the pond traffic and developing those land manager dealers. But outside of that, the price point on our Gen 3, the round blind, 81 by 81 inch. And this year, new, all of our blinds will have glass windows. They were 1/8 inch acrylic previously, or 3/16. So we did transition to a glass window on our blind this year that still will have the camo see-through decal. But the Gen 3 MSRP is $37.99 and the Gen 4 is $49.99. So if you not only look at just, the dirt finish, the patented dirt finish to the blind and the design, right? All the blinds are similar, but that's the one thing that sets us apart to one of your initial questions, is just that dirt finish. And anything in the woods, when it's raining or there's moisture, gets darker, right? Nothing is always the same shadow or shade or light color. And with the dirt finish, when it rains or there's dew, the dirt gets dark. So our blinds 100% blend into any environment. It doesn't matter where in the country they are positioned. They're going to blend into, Texas Hill Country or Northwoods. Also with the dirt, and this is, comes to play on the ponds on the outside edge as well. The dirt allows for natural vegetation or moss, algae to start developing and grow off of. And so, one of our initial blinds we've got outside here at the factory, it's been dirted for 8 years. And it is covered in mold and moss and mildew. It is so cool. It literally looks like it, if you was out in the woods in the middle of trees, it'd be tough to truly pick out. And so that's just another feature that separates us, is the dirt finish, how it's able to blend into any environment or habitat. And price point, every blind manufacturer out there is that $3,000 to $6,000 if you're wanting a quality blind, right? And so there's nothing that is quite like either of our blinds at the price point that we are offering them at. So those would be the couple things I'd touch on.
I love it.
Wonderful.
I love it. Waylon, this has been amazing. I learned a ton about this, and our listeners definitely will enjoy this. What a cool product. We like to get guys with products on here and just see, the innovation, and you guys are truly doing that. I do have one more thing for you before I let you plug. We have a rapid fire segment brought to you by Latitude Outdoors. If you're ready for it, I'm going to start slinging them at you.
Go ahead.
All right. Number 1, your favorite beverage.
Water.
All right. Number 2, favorite venison recipe.
Oh boy, pan-fried backstraps and butter and garlic.
That's a winner there. What bow are you shooting these days?
Well, it's on order. The Matthews Arc. It was supposed to be here already and hasn't arrived, but otherwise the VXR.
Okay, nice. I might know the answer to this. Food, water, or cover. You can only pick one.
If it's positioned correctly, water. 10 out of 10.
Okay, let's say you can't pick water. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Food or cover?
If it's late season, food. If it's early season, cover. I'm sorry I can't give you a direct answer, but that's depending on the time of the hunting season, it's different for me.
No, I understand. Do you have a favorite habitat tool or implement, or if not, a favorite hunting piece of equipment that you need to have with you?
Onyx. And there's other up and coming apps that are out there, but an app that allows you to record and save any type of feature that you're trying to put onto that ground or that area has been crucial. And even if it's a smaller 40 or 80 acre piece of private property, there's some huge benefits to that, and so that's what I would say.
All right. Last but not least, your favorite tree.
My favorite tree, white oak.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Perfect.
Why the white oak?
Sweeter. So deer would prefer that over the red oak. They love acorns, period. They'll eat any of them, but the white oaks, when they drop, they're going to be sweeter than your red oaks.
I love it. All right, you passed, man. That was it. Well done, 100%.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I really appreciate you coming on today. Thanks for the time, and I'd love to for you to tell everybody how they can find you guys, get a hold of you guys, and check these ponds out.
Yeah, definitely. So our company's Earth Blinds. On our website is earthblinds.com with an S plural. From there, you can find our products. We have a dealer locate page. And so at the top taskbar of our website, go to the dealer locator page, put in your zip code, put in the radius that you're looking to try and stay within. We do up to 500-mile radius on each zip code. So plug that in. You'll be able to find your local servicer of our products. And you can find us on Facebook as well. I am working on implementing stuff on that as we've been growing has not been a focus, but that is changing now this year, and you'll see a lot more content in the near future. But you can find us on Facebook at earthblinds.com or earthblinds.
Awesome, man. Well, be sure to come join our Habitat podcast group on there called Habitat Chat. That'd be a good spot if you're not already a part of it. And thanks again for your time. We appreciate it. Really enjoyed this.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Talk soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Habitat Podcast. We really do appreciate you guys coming back every week to get this awesome Habitat content. And we would appreciate it if you went to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. That helps us continue to grow and trend in the right direction, attract new listeners, and help us provide better content in the future. Guys, we have a website full of resources. We have a blog on the website. We have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all linked up at habitatpodcast.com. Our land plan services, merchandise, decals, hats, t-shirts, and I give away a free 5-inch decal to anyone who leaves us a review on Apple iTunes. Really appreciate it. I want to thank our partners, Downburst Cedars, Revitalize Seed Company, Morse Nursery, Packer Max Cultipackers, Stealth Outdoors, First Light, Latitude Outdoors, United Country Midwest Lifestyle Properties. Thanks again, guys. We'll be back next week with another great episode of the Habitat Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.